This week we get to talk about section 46 to 48, Seek Ye Earnestly the Best Gifts. Now before we get to spiritual gifts, I want to talk a little bit about section 46 telling us to make people feel welcome at church. What better time to talk about this than right now when we are just coming back to church? Now, parents, if you are watching this, it's easy to forget that our children are out of practice making friends. After the last year, it has not happened very often for them, and they may need a refresher on how to do it. So this is an excellent opportunity to role play. Joy D. Jones talked about in General Conference how we talk about it and then we act it out before they ever encounter it in real life to arm our children and prepare them. So how can they be a good friend? We role play a way that if they're meeting someone new at school, role playing saying hello, asking their name, asking questions about them, getting to know them, and becoming friends. You could maybe role play them being out at recess and seeing someone on the buddy bench, if they know what that is at their school, and how they could go over to the buddy bench and make someone feel welcome. And then even translate that to church. What if they see someone new in church? What do we do when we see a new family at church that we don't recognize? It's the very same thing. We go over, we ask their name, we get to know them, and we just be their friend. That's what Heavenly Father has asked us to do. That's what Jesus Christ wants us to do, is to be friends with people. And that practice right now will help them be prepared when the moment comes. You can have the child practice both roles, both being the friend that reaches out and gets to know a new friend, or being the person that's all alone. That helps them understand a little bit better what they would want people to ask them or how they would want to be treated if they were the ones feeling alone and lonely. You might think about starting a new tradition just for the week where you commit to every night at dinner asking the question, what have you done for someone else today? And everyone gets to go around the table and talk about something kind that they did for someone else, whether it was in their own family or someone else at work or school or in the neighborhood. Now, the first couple days, there might not be that many things to talk about. But as you continue to practice it, it will stick in their heads and they will remember so that they have something to talk about that night at dinner. Section 47 talks about a regular history. Now, do you keep a journal? Do you write down experiences as they happen to you? Maybe after reading this week and talking with your family, you will feel inspired to start a journal yourself if you haven't already. A couple of years ago, I realized that a lot of the stories that my grandparents like to tell are not written down anywhere. And so I started bringing a camera to family get-togethers, and I would set up a camera and ask my grandparents questions. Now, the funny thing is, my grandma loves family history. She loves it, and she knows everything about all of our ancestors on both her side and her husband's side. She just knows so much and how they all work together, and she finds it all so fascinating. But she doesn't think her own history is important. She doesn't think it's that important or interesting how she went to school. But as she started to explain to me how she went to school in a one-room schoolhouse with a potbelly stove, and they were freezing cold in the winter and ran into the classroom and had to stand around this little pot-bellied stove, and what they studied in school, and what her ice skates looked like when she would go skating with her friends, and the things that she would do on summer afternoons, and the ways that they would enjoy dances for the whole town when they got together. Those were really interesting to me because they're different from my experience, and they also help me understand my grandma a little bit better. So it's pretty normal for you to think, well, I'm not that interesting. I'm not that important. Nothing happens to me. But if you write it down, someone someday will think it's really important. You may also think of some questions that you have for your grandparents. It's not fun to think about, but they won't be around forever. So what questions do you have? What do you want to know about their childhood that you may not already know? Think about some questions. Call them up on the phone or FaceTime them on the computer or phone and ask them your questions while you still can. And finally, let's talk spiritual gifts. Do you remember what we talked about a couple weeks ago about consecrating? the kitchen tools that some people have 1 and some people have 3, and as we all put them together, we can all help each other get our projects done. Spiritual gifts work the exact same way. Some people are given these tools. Some people are given these tools. And these spiritual gifts are all different. They're all unique. And they're all used for the building of the kingdom. So we learn how to work together, how to combine a gift. Now, the really cool thing about spiritual gifts is that these might be your gifts. They come really naturally to you. And these might be somebody else's gifts. But if this one is really important to you, you can pray to have that spiritual gift. Now, it doesn't just come all the time. Sometimes you really have to work for it. But if it's important to you, Heavenly Father can give you the same spiritual gift that you are asking for. Now, notice that he didn't take that spiritual gift away from someone else. This person still gets to keep it. This person still needs to use that. But if it's important to you to gain this spiritual gift, Heavenly Father can give you that one too.